Wait a second. In order for me to put this in my Coffee Talk playlist, I need some coffee. I've had like 36 ounces of cold brew already today. Let me just get something for the clip. Alright, so, I mean, you guys already know. Compass Coffee Nitro Cold Brew. I went and got my mini growler refill this morning. Got a large to go. Went around the city, actually in the Shaw area, and was getting some clips to do a little parts of DC montage thing, so stay tuned for that. A little delayed. And so then I went back and got another one. Did a little birthday shopping for May, and yeah. This stuff is phenomenal. I hope that our product, the cold brew I'm doing with Nick and Preston Bear, is half as good as this. If it is, we will be doing something really right. It's like pretty cool. Pretty cool. Now let's get started with the real reason for this video. So like you all have probably heard me say many times before, is that I try to pretty much always be a student of life. In the past probably about 2 years of my life, I have just really tried to be a sponge and really just seeking out various forms of knowledge and experience to just expand my own horizons, but also at the same time try to just expand upon the things that I already know and want to pursue even more, so I get a better feel and understanding of what to do, what not to do. Now you all know that I'm a big fan of podcasts. I even have my own, shameless plug of Everforward Radio. But another thing I've been doing the past really solid year is reading a lot more. Now I used to grow up reading books and then I got out of it. I used to hate reading because it was something I had to do in school. And I think now that I'm actually passionate about something, passionate about entrepreneurship, exercise science, anatomy, physiology, self-help, emotional intelligence, all things under really the wellness umbrella, small business, yada, 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 yada. So I really found a lot of great authors, a lot of great books, series, etc. to really kind of help me learn more about it. So what I'm gonna do here is show you guys some of my recent books that I've read and some takeaways and how I think they could probably help you out. So in efforts to try to make this a regular thing, a series of books and review of the books basically, because I do find myself reading them very regularly, I'm going to touch base on some that I've read probably since the beginning of 2017. So it's April 2nd, yeah, April 2nd now. So I'll touch base on some of the books I've read thus far in this year of 2017, and we'll go from there. Because I'll go back and put a link into one of my other vlogs. At the end of it, I did a little kind of book review of a lot of other ones that I've read in 2016. So go check that out, and then come back and check this out. No, really, go do that. I'll wait. Okay, thanks for coming back. So first up, I'm going to show you a book that'll put you to sleep in a good way. This is Sleep Smarter. This book was written by Shawn Stevenson, the host and founder, co-founder of the Model Health Show podcast, which, if you're a fan of podcasts, he is definitely in my top 3, if not my number 1. His voice alone will put you to sleep in a good way because it is just extremely soothing and relaxing. So he is a health and wellness and fitness and nutrition expert. He's been in the game for a long time, and his kind of specialty, his forte, his passion really in the wellness world is sleep, because he kind of breaks it down in a way that I believe in as well, looking at sleep, nutrition, fitness, kind of those 3 things in order for a great paradigm for us to follow as far as putting priorities into certain categories for trying to better ourselves, better our health. So if you are someone who struggles with falling asleep, staying asleep, being lethargic and tired throughout the day, not having enough energy, he breaks it down into explaining the science, but also some of that, like, you know, stupid simple stuff as far as just maybe implementing a simple bedtime routine or turning your lights down or little simple life hacks in your technology devices that can really go a long way. So if you're interested in sleep or getting mo better sleep, I recommend you read Sleep Smarter. Up next, Mr. Simon Sinek. Samsonite. I was way off. Simon Sinek, start with why. Now this book is based off of, I believe this came after, one of the most, if not the most popular TED Talk called Start With Why. He's a very, very, very smart guy who really asks the question, why? And he writes a whole book about how to learn your why and how to apply your why in really everything that you do. Whether it's your personal life, your business life, start with your why, and then the how and the when and the what will all trickle down after that. So if you are a student, if you are in a relationship, if you are an employee, if you're a CEO or an entry-level person, if you don't know why you're doing something or why your product or service should be promoted or why your product or service should be put out in the public, why it's going to help others, why are you here to help others? So his whole premise is to start with your why and then build everything after that. So if you open up even on the front sleeve cover, he asks, why do you do what you do? And if you don't have a good reason as to why you're doing what you're doing, then everything else that comes after that does not matter. So I will say that this book was a fairly easy read. Some technical terms, I think more geared towards the business mindset. But honestly, I think if you watched his TED Talk, Start With Why, you could probably get the same amount of information out of this book. But still a good read. All right, up next are gonna be two books by the same, that's four, Chase. Two books by the same author that I think every human being should read. Actually, you know what? Screw it. Three books, technically. I'm gonna go get the third one. First up, we have Ego is the Enemy. This book, I read this thing and just almost sentence after sentence after sentence was blown away of just how like mind-blowing it was as far as just calling you out on your shit. Now I think I've touched base on this book before and how I really feel like I'm someone who tries to forget the self. You know, I really try to think of others first. Part of it's just who I am, part of it is my job. I really have to put myself in other people's shoes to better understand them so that I can then better help them, better coach them. But this book really even just made me aware of this, even the smallest nuances of things that I was doing, letting my ego get the better of me and just keeping myself in front of everybody else. And it was just, I couldn't put it down. It's a relatively small book. It has a lot of useful information. And you would think, okay, how much content could someone really write about, okay, don't be a selfish a-hole, think of others. The way that he breaks it down, component by component, you know, different areas of your life, you know, your ego with yourself, your ego with your coworkers, your ego with your friends, your relationships. This book right here, I don't care if you're single, I don't care if you are unemployed, a student, whatever. I think every human being should read this book because not only will it improve your relationship with yourself, but every other person in your life. I cannot recommend this book enough. I still honestly go back and check it out from time to time. Another one by Mr. Ryan Holiday is, now this book actually came out first. I think this is Ryan's first ever published book, and then came out the book I'm going to show you next, and then Ego is the Enemy. So this book, The Obstacle is the Way, is all about the timeless art of turning trials into triumph. And again, this stuff just really, really spoke to me by showing not only why it is important to really change your entire perspective when you come across a friction point, whether it is a failure in life, something not going as planned, someone breaking up with you, you needing to break up with someone, a failed business venture, really anything that is just, whoa, wait, what the hell's going on? The way that this is written gives you the skill sets, gives you the tools to look at that problem not as a problem anymore, and to not try to freak out and try to have to find a way to go around it, but rather go directly through that son of a bitch and learn from that experience and actually in turn be grateful for that obstacle. This theme, this book has actually inspired me to write up a solo session for one of my upcoming podcast episodes. And the last book by Ryan Holiday is going to be, now this is a book that is not meant to be read just front to back. It is actually kind of like a, what's it called? A daily devotional, kind of like daily proverbs. Each day is broken down literally by date. And you can see it is just a simple 1-page read. Got you a cute little tassel here to throw right down and pick up the next day. This book is great for just honestly kickstarting your day. If any of you follow me on Snapchat or Twitter, I actually screenshot each day and post it up as Your Daily Stoic. Full disclosure, this is actually my morning poop book. So every morning I wake up, I chug like a liter of water, immediately go to the bathroom, sit down, do my business, and get my daily Stoic on. Up next, and we have... Now this book has been on my to-read list for a very long time. I know it's been out for several years, but wow, holy shit. This book was just like, after reading this, if you don't like start your own business or reprioritize and restructure your entire life, then you weren't reading it correctly. So this book is all about helping you not necessarily find the one thing in your life that you need to do or want to do. It's not like what's your passion, what's your calling to life, but basically taking day by day, problem by problem, task by task, restructurizing them all so that what is the one thing, actually no, I'm gonna read you the direct quote here. Damn it, where is it? Okay, so I'm having like a brain fart and I can't find it. It's literally just plastered throughout every chapter in here. But basically, they help you filter out and find what is the one thing that you need to do right now, today, that will make everything else easier or not have to do it all. This has really given me a lot of life hacks. It has really helped me fine tune and get rid of my ADHD and just distractions and just honestly quit bullshitting myself. And it has really helped my efficiency. It has really helped my scheduling. It has allowed me to kind of just get more shit done in a shorter amount of time and just really keep that end goal in mind while not getting bogged down in all the processes and freaking out about every little step you have to do in order to get that long-term goal or short-term goal or whatever it is. It literally is all about just taking one thing at a time and owning it and getting through to the next one. How now, brown cow? The arsonist has oddly shaped feet. Okay, in my last book for 2017 so far, another one that I think every human being, no matter what your walk of life is, should read, and that is... But this book is written by two former Navy SEALs who combine kind of a one part battle history, one part implementation and strategy for business or personal development. So extreme ownership is all about taking life's lessons, honestly looking at failures and how to own everything that went wrong and learning how to not try to pass the buck and not take ownership and not step up when something didn't go right because of something that you did or did not do. And by really owning that problem, it allows you to drop the ego, kind of going back to ego is the enemy, and to really show what true leadership is all about. Leadership's not about being at the top of the food chain and then when something goes wrong, you get to pass it off and blame somebody else that, you know, is down maybe in the trenches or in the factory or whatever the scenario may be. But just, you know what, when something goes wrong in a process and you were at the end of that process, it is ultimately your responsibility and your fault. When something goes right and the company does really well, who usually gets the credit? You know, the CEO, the person, whoever was spearheading that, or at least was spearheading it on paper, or was the figurehead. But when something goes wrong, most people, not all, look down the chain of command to see who they can pass the buck on and who can take the blame. But by really owning your life, owning your problems, your failures, and then taking that objective outside in look, you will become a much stronger leader, a more respected leader, and hopefully a little bit less of an ego-filled leader. All right, guys, so my battery is flashing at me, so I'm gonna wrap things up here. So these, again, are some of the books that I have read just thus far in 2017. A little bit of leadership, self-help, daily mantras, business, entrepreneurship, and the Sleep Smarter, all about kind of, you know, that would be the wellness book for it. So up next, I have a few more on deck. I try to kind of stay well-rounded as far as looking into self-help, something about the body or physiology or health, because health. But really just anything that speaks to me from these authors. I'll look at who they recommend. I'll always ask, other people that I respect, other people that have positions in life, friendships, coworkers, like, hey, what are you reading? What are you listening to? Because I like what you're doing, and I am curious as to how you got there. So that's gonna be a wrap. If you guys have any other questions about these books, please leave a comment down below. If you have a book that you really like, or an author that you think might parlay off of these that I would be interested in, again, I would greatly appreciate that. I will leave a link to these down below and the Amazon information to where you can find these. Yeah, that's gonna be a wrap. So, read books. They're like pretty cool and stuff. I think these are great. These have really helped me out a lot. And I think if you like me, if you follow me at all, it probably means you have a similar interest in where you are in life and where you want to be. And I think these would probably do you well. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. You stay classy, planet Earth.